Welcome back, everybody. It is August the 13th, 2021, Friday the 13th. Had to wake up our assistant here. She was enjoying a nice nap, but she knows the tradition. We always begin a new guitar day with the cat. But through the magic of magic, we're going to make the kitty disappear. So, presto changeo. Okay, so, as noted, it is another new guitar day. This may very well be the last new guitar for a while, since I've pretty much bought everything I think I've ever wanted, but gee, how many times have I said that? But what we have here is a 2021 Squier Mini Jazzmaster. I was going to say Bullet, but I don't know if these are in the Bullet category. The original Mini Stratocasters were in the Affinity class, but they've since sort of dumped that. I'm going to guess, since this is at the bottom of the price range, these would be considered Bullets. So we're just going to reach in and crack it open. The only thing I know about this guitar is one of the first reviews was from a fellow who absolutely hated it. He actually dictated it was the worst guitar he'd ever owned, which is pretty abysmal. That's not what you want to hear when you buy a guitar. But other reviews have come in, and some people actually like these guitars a lot. This one is in Daphne Blue again, as was my recent purchase of 2 days ago of a Mini Strat. I like the Daphne Blue. I think it's a nice color. And this looks to be identical. It does have the little... the fret-ins on this one feel actually delicious. Much better than my other one. So that's encouraging. Hopefully there aren't other faux pas. But behold the beauty. Has its little switch protector. So we're just going to go plug this thing in and give it a whirl, because that's the only way that we'll have any idea. Apparently the guy who gave it an abysmal review said that it just wouldn't intonate, wouldn't tune. I have to agree that these tuners, although people think it's an upgrade from the so-called trapezoid, well, these are really, that's an interesting feature. I actually like that. The neck looks like it's straight. Pickups may need some adjusting. Yeah. No neck pocket cracks. Back of the neck has that satiny feel. So yeah, we're just going to go tune this up and give it a whirl. So we'll be back in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, who knows. And then we'll tell you what we think. Okay, so we're back. I played this for a couple hours, and all I can say is wow. It's really pretty stunning for the price point of this guitar. The build quality. The fret-ins on this are as nice as any guitar I've ever owned. Unfortunately, its sister guitar over there, identical guitar except for it's a Stratocaster, the fret-ins were abysmal. So that's what quality control is. Quality control is even quality. Because whoever worked on this guitar took the time to do the fret-ins and just make them smooth as glass. Guitar plays well. It sounds good. It's as cheap as you can possibly get. I mean, yeah, and it's in its own class because it is a Mini. And I would say this to the guy who has the video on YouTube. I certainly can't argue with his experience. He obviously did not like the guitar. He proclaimed it as being the worst guitar he's ever had. And maybe that's true. And maybe he had a really bad guitar. I will say this about this guitar, a caveat is, it is a short scale guitar. It has very light strings on it. I'm really surprised that Fender doesn't at least ship these with tins. So you have to play with a very, very light touch. If you don't, it does go out of tune and it sounds awful and you think, oh my God, this is a horrible guitar. This is my 5th Mini that I bought in the last 2 months. One of them, 2 that were used, the strings were so bad I had to put new strings on it, and I put tins on, and that eliminated 90% of the light touch issue. this would be like having 7s or possibly 8s on a full-scale Fender Stratocaster or Telecaster. Light touch. You push too hard, it's going to go out of tune. I think the nut is cut fine. You do tend to have this problem more in this area right here. That's just the nature of the guitar. So if you're just really light on your touch, it stays in tune. The tuners, a lot of people think, oh wow, they upgraded from the trap tuners. These are as cheap a tuners as you can get. They're sort of hit and miss. They go up and they go down. But it holds tune pretty well. And again, the fit and the finish. Again, I'm just stunned by the fret ends. It does have one cosmetic defect you can see right there. It's called a mineral, I want to say stain. I don't think that's what it is. They're not uncommon at all on the back of guitars, like you'll see this right here. And I could care less. Being slightly O.C.D on the front of the guitar, it bothers me. It looks like someone took a Sharpie. You can't feel it, but it looks like someone took a Sharpie or a wood-burning gun and said, I don't like you, I'm going to burn that in there. So I've got a phone call into them to see if they'll do a little modest price adjustment for that, because visually they probably should have rejected that. Although there's people out there who could care less. And I don't really care either, but my eye is drawn towards it. That's why whenever I've seen the mineral like this on the back, I could care less. Why? Because I'm not looking at it, and my eye's not drawn towards it, so I don't care. So I'm sure I will be back in a week or two, and maybe then I'll be back with horror stories and saying, oh my God, it really is the worst guitar I've ever owned. I don't imagine that I will. I mean, I tuned it up, I stretched the strings, I tuned it again, I stretched the strings, and it held its tune nice. And again, I'm not trying to put this off. This is not a Fender custom shop quality guitar. But it's stunning for the price. And again, it's its own thing. I happen to like the smaller body, the smaller scale. From what I understand, this is 40 millimeter. Which is the same as what Affinities used to be. I think they've widened out the nut a little bit. If you have big hands, this would not be well for you, but if you have moderate hands like I do, it's fine. And I go from playing this to a full-length scale Fender and a Gibson, which is a little shorter, and no issues. Just means you have to pay attention. The Daphne Blue is interesting. It's not quite as deep a Daphne Blue as I had on my Squier. I believe it was the Deluxe Stratocaster. It was a little deeper. This has a little more gray in it, but it's nice. It's a nice color. Nice change of pace. And the maple fretboard is nice. It's interesting because they don't bother to put a skunk stripe on it. It actually has a separate maple fretboard, which is unusual. Usually that's why they have the skunk stripe, because it's a one-piece maple neck, fretboard included, but this one actually has a maple fretboard, which would be equivalent to a rosewood fretboard on a maple neck. So there you go, new guitar day, Friday the 13th. Always been a lucky day for me, and it turns out this was lucky. Nice guitar. And UPS actually came before their window of delivery compared to Wednesday, which was abysmal. They were like almost 2.5 hours after the window of delivery. But today he said his delivery load was lighter, so it came before. Woohoo! So good news. Squier Mini Jazzmaster. Although it does not say Jazzmaster, it just says Squier Mini. So thanks for joining us. Mini Madness continues. Welcome back, everybody. It is August the 19th, 2021. And we're here to say goodbye to this guitar. I've had it for 6 days. It's a surprisingly nice guitar, again, considering that it's a budget, it's a mini, it's a lot of fun. I just had a specific problem with this guitar that I was unable to resolve, and that is this blemish. And you know, some people would say, hey, who cares about the blemish? You know, when you're playing the guitar, it almost looks like there's just a shadow on the fretboard. But here's the problem I have, is I have spent I bought this guitar, no blemish. I bought this guitar, no blemish. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 other Squier bullets with maple fingerboards, no blemish. So to me, this is out of the ordinary. And, you know, again, the story I get from Fender and from Musician's Friend is that this is a normal grain of maple. And it's like, no, it's not. Someone just really made a poor choice when they built this guitar. They should have chucked this fingerboard and put another one on because they usually get it right. And I just thought, I don't need it, so I'm sending it back. Chances are fairly good that I will be getting another one. We'll wait and see. I don't think I'll be taking a chance. Again, I think this was an oddball and they just weren't going to cop to it, so I hate to editorialize. This is really more about guitars. So I'll quit editorializing. But anyways, fun guitar. Highly recommend it. Again, if you have big hands, this guitar is not for you. But if you have medium, I hate to even say small hands. If you have medium hands or smaller hands, it's a fun guitar. And fun's what it's all about, friends. If you're not having fun with your guitars, as I've said before, the best guitar that you will ever own is the guitar that you like to play and play often, because that's the guitar that will help you become a better guitarist. And it doesn't matter how much it costs or what the brand name is. None of that matters. It's the guitar that you enjoy the most. And I happen to enjoy Squier bullets. So, thank you very much. Back in the box it goes.